The stranger in the alley. The night was cold. Rain fell from the sky like little needles, hitting the streets of New York. Most people stayed inside, but Jack was still walking home. He had just finished a long shift at the repair shop. His hands were dirty, and his boots were soaked, but he didn't mind. He was used to hard days. Jack walked down a quiet alley, the same shortcut he always used. It was dark, and the only sound was the soft hum of neon lights and the dripping of water. But tonight, something felt different. He stopped. There was a strange sound, like a whisper or a soft cry. Jack turned his head and listened. It came again. A low, shaky breath. Someone was in the alley. Jack slowly walked toward the sound. His eyes scanned the shadows. Behind a row of trash bins, he saw movement. Something, or someone, was there. "Hello," he said carefully. No answer. He took a step closer. Then, from the darkness, a figure moved. Jack's eyes widened. It wasn't a normal person. It was a woman, but not human. Her skin had a soft blue glow, and her hair was silver, falling in wet strands over her face. Her eyes, large and violet, watched him with fear. She wore strange, torn clothes. She looked cold, weak, lost. She backed away, hitting the wall behind her. She was cornered. Jack didn't move closer. He raised his hand slowly. "It's okay," he said. "I'm not here to hurt you." The alien woman didn't speak. She just stared at him, breathing hard, shaking from the rain. Jack looked at her feet. No shoes. Her toes were scraped, bleeding. She was in pain. "Wait here," he said, and took off his coat. She flinched as he stepped forward, and gently placed the coat over her shoulders. She didn't resist. The warmth of the coat made her shiver more, but she didn't pull it off. "You're freezing," Jack said softly. "You need help." Still no words, but her eyes slowly blinked as if she understood. Jack looked around. No one else was in the alley. Whoever she was alone and scared. "I live close," he said, "just a few blocks. You can come with me. Dry off, eat, rest. That's all. I promise." The alien woman didn't speak, but after a long moment, she stood. Slowly, carefully. Her legs were weak, and she almost fell, but Jack caught her arm gently. She didn't pull away. Together, they walked out of the alley. Jack's apartment was small, old, but warm. He helped her sit on the couch, then brought a towel, a blanket, and a glass of water. She drank slowly, like she hadn't tasted water in days. "I'm Jack," he said, sitting across from her. "Do you have a name?" She looked at him, unsure. "You understand me?" he asked. She nodded once. "Okay," Jack smiled. "That's good." She looked around the room. Her eyes stopped on the shelves filled with tools, machines, and small gadgets. Jack built and fixed machines for work and as a hobby. "You make things?" she asked, voice soft, broken. Jack's heart jumped. "Yes, I fix things. I build robots, old drones, whatever I can find." She stared at a small toy robot on the shelf. It waved its little metal arm and made a beep sound. The alien woman's lips moved, almost a smile. Jack watched her closely. She didn't seem dangerous, just sad, broken. "I can get you food," Jack offered. "Hungry?" She nodded again. Jack warmed up some soup and handed her a bowl. She took it with shaking hands and slowly ate. As the hot soup went down her throat, her eyes filled with tears. Jack didn't say anything. He just let her eat. When she finished, she held the bowl tight and whispered, "Thank you." Jack nodded. "You're safe here, I promise." She looked at him for a long moment. Her violet eyes searched his face, like she couldn't believe someone was being kind to her. Then her eyes moved to the far side of the room, and she froze. Jack followed her gaze. On the wall, above a shelf, hung a small object. It was a shiny silver medal. Jack's grandfather had won it for bravery during the First Contact War, years ago. The war between humans and a distant alien empire. The alien woman stood slowly, staring at the medal like it was a ghost. Jack noticed her breathing faster. "What is it?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, "That symbol, it belongs to them." Jack stood up, confused. "What do you mean?" The woman turned to him, eyes wide with fear. "They're looking for me." The name she wouldn't say. The storm had passed, but the silence in Jack's apartment was heavier than ever. Jack sat on the edge of his couch, staring at the silver medal on the wall. The alien woman, now wrapped in his old blanket, was sitting in the corner, far away from it. Her knees were pulled up to her chest, her eyes still locked on the medal, like it held the power to burn her alive. She hadn't said another word since she whispered, "They're looking for me." Jack didn't push. He knew fear when he saw it. He stood slowly and walked to the kitchen, pretending not to wash her. He made tea, something warm, something calm, and brought it over. He placed it beside her, not too close. She didn't touch it. Minutes passed. She finally spoke, voice quiet. "Why do you have that symbol?" Jack looked at the medal again. "My grandfather fought in the Contact War. That was 20 years ago. He got this for saving civilians during a battle on Mars. He never talked about it much." The alien woman closed her eyes. "That symbol belongs to the Xaltran Empire, the ones who took my home." Jack froze. "You're from a Xaltran world?" She nodded. "I escaped. They're hunting me because I took something they want." Jack leaned forward. "What did you take?" She didn't answer. He sighed and rubbed his hands together. "Look, I know this is a lot. I know you don't trust me yet. But if you're in danger, you need someone. And right now, I'm all you've got." She stared at him again. This time, her eyes were softer, not trusting, but curious, like she was testing him silently. "You gave me your coat," she said suddenly. Jack blinked. "Yeah, you looked like you needed it. No one gives anything without asking something back. Not on my planet." Jack sat back and smiled gently. "Well, this is Earth. We're a little different." A long silence followed. Then, very quietly, she asked, "What's your name again?" "Jack." She repeated it. "Jack." He nodded. "What's yours?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. She turned her face away. Jack didn't push. "That's okay," he said. "You can tell me when you're ready." She looked at him again. Her lips trembled slightly, but she stayed silent. The next morning, Jack woke up early. The sun was barely rising, and golden light spilled through the windows. The apartment was quiet. He sat up and looked around. The couch was empty. His heart jumped. "Hey," he called out, worried. Then he heard a sound from the small workshop room. He stepped in and stopped in surprise. The alien woman was sitting at his workbench, holding a broken drone he had given up on weeks ago. The pieces were scattered across the table. Her fingers moved quickly, expertly, like she had done this 1,000 times before. She didn't look up. Jack smiled. "You're full of surprises. I saw this yesterday," she said. "It was broken." "Yeah," Jack chuckled. "It's been broken for years." She picked up a small tool and twisted a wire. "Not anymore." The drone suddenly blinked. Lights flashed. It hovered slightly above the table and made a cheerful beep. Jack's jaw dropped. "You fixed it." She turned to him. "I was trained as a systems engineer, before everything changed." Jack sat down across from her. "You're incredible." Her eyes dropped. "I was useful. That's all they cared about." "You're not just useful," Jack said firmly. "You're a person." She looked at him again, and something in her eyes changed. A small crack in the wall she had built. Later that day, Jack made food. Eggs, toast, something simple. She ate slowly, quietly. After the meal, she stared out the window. "Jack," she said, voice low. "Yeah. If they find me, they'll kill me." He looked at her. "Not if I can help it." She turned to him, finally, and whispered, "They don't just kill. They erase. Like you never existed. No name, no face, no family, nothing." Jack's jaw tightened. "Then we'll keep you hidden. I'll protect you." She paused for a long moment. "My name," she started, then shook her head again. "No, not yet." Jack nodded. "Okay." That night, as the city outside blinked with lights and distant noise, Jack set up a small sleeping area for her. A mattress on the floor, clean sheets, a pillow. She sat down, looking around like she didn't believe any of it was real. Jack handed her a small night lamp shaped like a cat. It lit up gently when touched. She stared at it in wonder. "What is this?" "It's just a little lamp," Jack said. "It helps people sleep. You can turn it off if you want." She touched it. The light went out. She touched it again. It came back. A small laugh escaped her lips. The first laugh Jack had heard from her. "Why a cat?" she asked. Jack shrugged. "Cats are soft, quiet, but strong. Like you." She looked at the lamp again, then whispered, "I used to have a name. Before they erased it." Jack sat down on the floor beside her, not too close. "You still have it," he said gently. "You just forgot where you put it." She looked at him, and for the first time, her eyes weren't just full of fear. They held something else. Hope, hunted by her own people. The third morning began with a strange sound. Not loud, not sharp, just wrong. Jack woke instantly, his instincts sharper than any alarm clock. He had learned to listen to the small things. The soft buzz of a dying battery, the hum of a heating wire, the hiss of leaking gas. This sound didn't belong in his home. He slipped out of bed quietly and walked barefoot to the hallway. Then he saw it. The alien woman, still unnamed, was standing in the middle of the room. Her hands were clenched at her sides, her body tense, her violet eyes wide and unblinking. She was staring at the front door. There was someone on the other side. Jack's blood went cold. A faint red light blinked under the crack in the door. A scanner. Quiet. Professional. Military grade. He moved beside her and whispered, "Do you know them?" She nodded once, eyes still locked on the door. "They're here for me." Jack acted fast. He grabbed her hand, not forcefully, but firmly, and pulled her toward the back room. "My workshop," he whispered. "There's a basement hatch. It's hidden." They rushed through the small hallway as footsteps creaked outside. Slow, careful, like wolves testing the air. Jack opened a floor panel beneath his tool bench, revealing a narrow ladder leading into darkness. He helped her climb down first, then followed, closing the hatch above them just as. Bang! The door burst open. Jack's heart pounded in his ears. He held his breath. Above them, heavy boots stepped across the floor. A voice spoke in a cold, unfamiliar language. The alien woman tensed beside him. Her hands trembled. She whispered something too quiet to hear. Jack placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "We're okay. We're hidden. Stay quiet." A minute passed. 2. Then silence. The boots stopped. Something beeped. A low sound. Then one of the men spoke again, this time in rough, broken English. She was here. Jack's fists clenched. Another voice replied, softer. "Scan says no life forms now. She must have moved. Keep searching." Footsteps faded. Minutes passed before Jack dared open the hatch again. When they climbed out, the apartment was a mess. Drawers ripped open. Furniture smashed. His shelves were broken. The metal, his grandfather's metal, was gone. He didn't care about that. He looked at her. She was shaking, staring at the broken pieces of the toy robot she had fixed just yesterday. One of its legs was torn off. Its lights were dead again. "They never stopped," she whispered. "They keep coming until they find what they want." Jack crouched beside her. "Why are they so desperate? What did you take from them?" She looked at him slowly, then stood. "I think it's time you knew." Back in the basement, she opened a compartment in her suit, hidden beneath the fabric. From it, she pulled out something small, a crystal. It glowed faintly, like it had its own heartbeat. Jack leaned closer. It wasn't like any power source he'd ever seen. It looked alive. "What is that?" Her voice was steady, but full of pain. "This is a phase core. It's not just energy. It's memory, history, truth." Jack frowned. "Whose truth?" She hesitated. Then, "Mine, and my people's. The Xaltran Empire controls everything. Information, education, news, even language. They erased my planet from the records. They turned our home into a weapons lab. Anyone who spoke against them disappeared." She looked down at the crystal. "This has proof of everything. Names, locations, orders, even the project to destroy the Vidari species next." "Vidari?" Jack asked. "A peaceful race," she said. "They live in star-cloud cities. No weapons, no armies. The Empire wants their skies for fuel mining. They'll wipe them out in days." Jack stared at the crystal. "So you ran away to stop a genocide?" She nodded. "I worked in the system. I saw the orders. I couldn't pretend anymore." Jack sat down. His mind spun. "So why come to Earth?" Her voice cracked. "Because I heard humans fought back once. That you don't bow. That you protect those who can't fight." Jack looked at her, surprised. "You heard that?" She smiled sadly. "Stories travel, even across galaxies." They spent the rest of the day cleaning what little they could. Jack packed a bag of tools, water, and emergency supplies. They couldn't stay here anymore. Night fell. The city outside blinked like stars trapped in glass. Jack gave her a worn hoodie to wear. It was too big, but warm. She looked human enough now to walk the streets unnoticed. As they stepped into the alley behind the building, Jack whispered, "Do you have a plan?" She looked at the stars. "Not yet." Jack chuckled. "Then we'll make one." They walked in silence for blocks, keeping to shadows. Then, as they reached the edge of an abandoned train yard, the woman suddenly froze. Her eyes went wide. Her hand grabbed Jack's arm. "What is it?" he asked. She didn't answer. She knelt to the ground and pulled up the side of her sleeve. Beneath her skin, just above her wrist, a small red light was blinking. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." Jack crouched beside her. "What's wrong?" Her voice trembled. "They put a tracker in me. Hidden. I didn't know. It's active now." Jack looked around. "Can we turn it off?" She shook her head. "They'll be here. Soon." Jack stood, eyes scanning the darkness. "We need help," he said. "And I know someone who owes me a favor." He turned to her. "You trust me?" She looked at him, afraid, tired, unsure. But then she nodded. "I do now." The gift of trust. Rain had started again. It wasn't heavy like before, just a soft drizzle, like the sky was too tired to cry loudly anymore. The streets glowed under the wet lights, and each step Jack and the alien woman took made a quiet splash. They didn't speak much. The tracker was still blinking under her skin. Time was running out. Jack's old friend, Cole, lived off the edge of the city, past the broken factories and rusted bridges. The kind of place no one checked unless they had a reason. Jack hadn't seen Cole in years, but if anyone could help, it was him. As they walked through the broken gate of an old warehouse, Jack gave a short whistle. Nothing. Then the sound of metal moving. A spotlight snapped on. Jack raised a hand, squinting. A voice rang out. "That you, Jack?" "It's me." "Who's the girl?" Jack hesitated. "She's the reason I'm here." A long pause. Then the light turned off, and the metal door groaned open. Cole stood there, taller than Jack remembered, still strong, with a deep scar across his neck from the war. His eyes moved to the woman beside Jack, but he said nothing, just nodded. "Come in." Inside, the warehouse had been turned into a bunker. Weapons, tools, old Earth military tech. Cole had been a soldier during the Earth-Saltran War. Now he was just a ghost in the system. Safe, invisible, exactly what they needed. As the woman sat on a bench, Cole looked at Jack. "Talk." Jack told him everything. From the alley, the hiding, the phase core crystal, the tracker. Cole didn't interrupt. He just listened. When Jack finished, Cole finally turned to her. "You have a name." She looked down. "No." Cole raised an eyebrow. Jack stepped in. "She's not ready." Cole didn't push. "Fine. But if that tracker pings again, we've got a problem." He grabbed a device from a shelf and walked over. "Hold out your arm." The woman hesitated, then slowly raised her sleeve. The red light blinked faintly under the skin. Cole's jaw tightened. Standard subdermal chip. Empire-made. He held the scanner near it. It beeped. Cole looked at Jack. "We've got 30 minutes before they narrow it to this zone. Maybe less." "Can you remove it?" Jack asked. Cole nodded. "But she'll feel it." The woman looked up. "Do it." Cole worked fast. The room filled with silence, broken only by the soft hum of the machine and the woman's quiet, steady breathing. Jack stood beside her, watching her grip the bench with white knuckles. She didn't scream, didn't flinch, but Jack saw the pain in her eyes. After a few minutes, Cole stepped back. In his hand, a small black chip, still blinking red. He crushed it under his boot. "No more tracking," he said. The woman breathed out and leaned back. Jack smiled. "You're free." She looked at him. "For now." That night, they stayed in the warehouse. Jack fixed a corner of the room with a mattress and blanket. The woman sat cross-legged, looking around at the strange objects lining the walls. She held the music box in her hands. Jack had given it to her earlier, something simple from his mother's old things. A wooden box, worn at the corners. When opened, it played a soft, delicate tune. A lullaby from Earth's past. The woman hadn't said a word when he gave it to her, just stared at it for a long time. Now she opened it again. The soft music filled the space. Notes floated gently in the air like feathers. Jack watched from a distance. She closed her eyes and cried. Not loud, not messy. Just tears, quiet and endless, rolling down her glowing cheeks. Jack walked over and sat beside her. "I didn't mean to upset you." She shook her head. "You didn't." "Then why are you crying?" She looked at the music box. "Because it's the first gift I've ever received. The first thing someone gave me. Just because." Jack didn't speak. He let her feel it. She continued, voice trembling. "On my planet, everything has a price. Love, safety, even names. But you saw me in the dirt, freezing, and gave me your coat. You brought me here, fed me, protected me." Her eyes met his. "And now this." Jack smiled softly. "It's just a music box." "To you," she whispered. "To me, it's proof that kindness still exists." She looked at the music box again. "When I was young, I heard music like this once. A signal from Earth, caught in space. It was a lullaby. I never forgot it." Jack chuckled. "That one's called Moonlight Garden. My mom used to play it every night when I had nightmares. She had a good heart." "She did," Jack said quietly. "You remind me of her." The woman blinked, surprised. "Why?" "She never gave up on people," Jack said, "even when they gave up on themselves." They sat in silence for a while. Then Jack said, "You know, you can tell me your name now, if you want." She looked down, then back at him. "My name is Syrah." Jack repeated it, slowly. "Syrah." She smiled. "Yes, that was my real name, before they tried to erase me." Across the city, in a dark command center aboard a hidden orbiting ship, an officer stared at the last ping from the destroyed tracker. The screen showed a red circle around a 2-mile zone. "Find her," the officer said coldly. "The traitor must not reach the resistance." Back at the warehouse, Syrah's music box kept playing softly. But danger was already coming. The message she carried. The night was heavy with silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the type that presses down on your chest. The type that whispers something terrible is coming. Inside the dimly lit warehouse, Jack stared at the small glowing crystal on the table. The phase core. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat in stone. Soft blue light danced on the metal walls around them. Across the room, Syrah sat cross-legged, her fingers locked tightly around a steaming mug of tea. Her eyes were fixed on a crystal, but her mind was far away. Jack walked over slowly and sat beside her. "You've been staring at it for hours," he said gently. Syrah didn't blink. "It's more than just data." Jack tilted his head. "Then what is it?" Syrah looked at him, eyes darker than usual. "It's truth, and truth is dangerous." Jack leaned forward. "Show me." Cole returned with a portable data reader he had salvaged from an old Black Ops facility. It wasn't pretty, bulky, scratched, patched together with wire, but it worked. Syrah connected the crystal to the reader. The screen lit up. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, images, thousands of them, flashes of cities, beautiful floating colonies, alien families smiling under twin suns. Then fire, screams, ships falling from the sky like burning stars, soldiers marching, executions, silenced screams, propaganda messages. Jack's breath caught in his throat. "This is your planet," he whispered. Syrah nodded. Before and after. Another image appeared. An Imperial war room. Secret blueprints. A map marked with red X's over dozens of star systems. Syrah pointed. "This is the plan to wipe out the Vidari people. Peaceful cloud dwellers with no weapons. They're seen as useless. The Empire wants the gas in their skies. They're going to poison the clouds. Quietly. Slowly. So no one notices." Cole stood silently in the back, jaw clenched. "And the Empire will say it was a natural collapse, just like they did to your world." Syrah nodded again. "Yes." Jack stared at the screen, his stomach turning. "And all of this is stored in the crystal." Syrah pulled the phase core from the reader and held it gently in both hands. "This isn't just a storage device. It's a biolinked memory drive. It records the thoughts, memories, and feelings of those who connect to it. Every face, every word. I recorded them all. The entire truth." She looked at Jack. "And now I need to share it with the galaxy." Jack stood and began pacing. "So what's the plan? Broadcast it?" Syrah shook her head. "No, the Empire blocks all galactic transmissions. Anything from Earth would be jammed." "So how do we get it out?" Jack asked. Cole stepped forward. "There's only one way." Jack and Syrah turned to him. Cole walked to a shelf and pulled out a metal case. He placed it on the table and opened it. Inside, an old drop drone. Military grade. Small. Fast. Built for smuggling data through enemy space undetected. "This," Cole said. "This drone can fly through their defenses and reach the resistance relay station on the far side of Jupiter's shadow. It's an old tech network. Forgotten, but still alive." Syrah nodded slowly. "The resistance. They'll spread the message." Jack frowned. "But won't the Empire know it came from Earth?" "Yes," Syrah said. "They'll retaliate." She looked at him, voice firm. "They'll try. But the truth will already be out." That night, As they prepared the drone, Jack found Sierra standing alone on the roof of the warehouse. The city lights below flickered like dying stars. Above them, the night sky was full of clouds, but beyond those clouds, Jack knew, were warships, hidden and waiting. He walked up beside her. "You okay?" Sarah didn't answer at first. Then, "I spent most of my life building things for the Empire. Machines, drones, surveillance. I thought I was helping. I didn't know what they were doing with it." Jack looked at her. "And now you're using everything you learned to stop them." She looked at him. "It doesn't feel like enough." Jack was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his pocket and handed her something small. It was a necklace. Simple. A round metal tag hanging from a thin chain. Faded from time, but strong. Sarah took it carefully. "What is this?" "My dad's old dog tag," Jack said. "He died before I was born. But Mom said he wore it every day during the war. Said it reminded him who he was fighting for." Sarah blinked. "Why are you giving it to me?" Jack smiled. "Because you forgot who you were fighting for. And I think, deep down, you're one of us now." Sarah stared at the tag. Then at Jack. She didn't say anything. But her eyes filled with tears. Again. This time, she didn't hide them. Early morning. The drone was ready. Cole held it steady while Sarah locked in the coordinates and secured the phase core inside. Jack placed a final cover over the shell. They stood together as the small drone hummed to life. Sarah looked at Jack. "When this flies," she said, "everything changes. We can't go back after this." Jack nodded. "Then we move forward." Sarah took a deep breath and pressed the launch button. The drone shot upward with a quiet roar, disappearing into the sky. The message was on its way. Far above Earth, in the shadows of orbit, a fleet of black Imperial ships blinked to life. One commander received an alert. "Unauthorized transmission detected. Source: Earth. Target: Resistance Relay." The officer frowned. "Scramble fighters. Prepare to silence them." But it was already too late. The truth was moving faster than light. And for the first time in years, the galaxy would finally hear the voice they tried so hard to erase. Syra's voice. The human who wouldn't let go. Smoke rose over the city. Not from fires. Not yet. But from the atmosphere. Burned trails left by ships too large to be seen and too silent to be heard. High above Earth, hidden among satellites and space debris, the Empire had arrived. Their warships didn't glow or hum like human ships. They simply existed, black steel in the sky, cold and perfect, like knives carved from shadow. They watched. They waited. Inside the warehouse, Cole's old warning lights were blinking red, one after another. Jack stood in the middle of the room, fists clenched. His heart beat hard, not from fear, but fury. "They're really doing it," he said. "They're actually here." Cole nodded grimly. "Intercepted Earth's response a minute ago. Government's in a panic. Some say it's a glitch. Others are preparing for war." Jack looked at Sarah, who stood silently by the window, her hands wrapped around the dog tag Jack had given her. She hadn't said a word since the drone launched. "You okay?" Jack asked gently. Sarah's eyes didn't leave the sky. "No." A long pause. Then, "This is my fault." "No," Jack said quickly. "It's their fault. You didn't bring war. You brought truth." She finally looked at him. "And the truth has a cost." Hours passed. The news began to spread. Earth's networks, usually full of sports scores, celebrity gossip, and political arguments, were now flashing one thing: unknown objects in Earth's orbit. Military bases across the world went on high alert. Jet fighters screamed into the skies. People were told to stay indoors. Fear was growing like a storm. And in the middle of it, inside a forgotten warehouse, Jack and Sarah sat quietly, waiting for the worst. Cole worked at his station, fingers flying across keys. "We've got movement," he said suddenly. "Low-orbit scout ships. Probably looking for you." Cyrus stood. "Then I should go." Jack frowned. "Go where?" "To them." "No," Jack said sharply. "You're not thinking straight." "I am," Cyrus said, stepping forward. "If I surrender, maybe they'll leave Earth alone." Jack stood too, stepping between her and the door. "That's not how this works. You know that. They want me, Jack. Not you. Not this planet. They want to erase you," Jack said. "And then they'll erase the next world. And the next. That's what they do." She looked down. "And what do you want me to do? Let your people suffer for me?" "I want you to live," Jack said. His voice cracked. He wasn't shouting, but his pain cut deeper than any scream. "You showed us the truth. You gave people something real. That means something. And I won't let them take that away. Not from you. Not from us." Silence filled the room. Cyrus' lip trembled. "You don't know what they'll do to you if you protect me." Jack stepped closer. "I don't care." She shook her head. "But why?" He took a breath, then placed a hand over her heart. "Because this," he said, "this beats like mine. You might not be from Earth, but your soul is human now. And humans don't let go." Syrah closed her eyes. And for the first time, she believed him. Cole cleared his throat. "I've been working on something," he said. "Just in case." He walked over and pulled a tarp off a strange-looking vehicle. Half drone, half fighter ship. Small enough to hide. Fast enough to escape. Old smuggler's pod. "I've been rebuilding it. Not perfect, but it'll fly." Syrah stared. "You want me to run?" "No," Jack said. "We want you to survive." Syrah shook her head. "I won't run alone." Jack smiled. "Good, because I'm coming with you." Syrah blinked. "What? You think I'm letting go now?" he said. "After all this." Syrah opened her mouth to argue, but stopped. Instead, she reached out and took his hand. As Cole made final checks to the pod, Jack and Syrah went up to the roof one last time. The city looked quiet, but the air carried tension like static before lightning. Jack pulled out a small device, a signal transmitter. "I want to leave a message," he said. "To who?" "To Earth," Jack replied. "In case we don't come back." He pressed the button. A blue light blinked, and Jack spoke. "This is Jack Miller, civilian, mechanic. No rank, no titles. I've seen the truth. There's an empire out there, cold, cruel, and afraid of voices like ours. Afraid of people like Syrah. People who speak up, who carry light into their darkness. If you're hearing this, don't look away. Don't forget her name. Her name is Syrah. She gave up everything to protect people she's never met. Not for glory, not for revenge, but for something simple. Hope. And if hope means running, then I'll run with her. But if it means fighting, then I'll fight beside her, because I'm human. And humans don't let go." Back inside, the pod hummed with life. Cole gave them one last nod. "Fly low. Don't draw attention. I'll stay behind and wipe the system if they come." Jack stepped forward and hugged his old friend. "Thank you, Cole, for everything." Cole smirked. "Don't thank me until you're clear." Syrah turned to him. "Why are you helping me?" Cole looked at her and smiled. "Because he believes in you. And I believe in him." The pod launched silently into the dark sky, like a spark trying to outrun the storm. As it climbed higher, Syrah looked at Jack, tears in her eyes. "You stayed," she whispered. Jack leaned back in the seat and smiled. "I told you." "I know," she said softly, "but hearing it and feeling it are different." Jack reached for her hand and held it tight. "Don't worry," he said. "We're not done yet." Far above them, the Empire's fleet began to shift. Weapons moved into position. But somewhere, deep in the stars, The truth had already begun to spread. And the human who wouldn't let go. He was just getting started. Her last tears on Earth. The stars looked different now. They weren't peaceful lights in the night anymore. They were watching eyes. Some kind, some cruel. Some full of wonder. Others full of war. Inside the smuggler's pod, Jack sat beside Syrah, his hand still in hers. The sky around them had changed. Below them, Earth faded slowly. Above them, darkness stretched endlessly. And somewhere in that darkness, the resistance was listening. But time was running out. Cole's voice came through the final comm link, crackling. "They're on to you. Interceptors inbound. You've got 5 minutes, maybe less. Keep your altitude low and don't stop moving." "Copy that," Jack replied, adjusting the controls. Syrah didn't speak. She stared out the window, at the stars, at the edge of everything she knew. She was leaving Earth, a place that had become her only home, her only safe place, and she might never see it again. 3 enemy ships locked onto their signal. They weren't built like human crafts. They moved like shadows, curved, elegant, silent. They didn't fire yet. They didn't have to. They were waiting for fear. Jack's fingers tightened on the controls. We can't outrun them for long. Syrah took a breath and looked at the console. There's a nebula field ahead. Thick magnetic interference. We can hide inside it. That close to Earth. We'll burn the engines. Then we burn them, Syrah said. Jack smiled, spoken like a true human. The pod dove sharply, engines roaring louder than before. The stars around them blurred. Heat crawled across the hull. The enemy ships followed, slower but steady, like predators enjoying the chase. Inside, lights flickered. "Hold it together, baby," Jack whispered to the ship. Syrah was focused, not panicked, not afraid. She had come too far to stop now. They reached the nebula, a thick, red-orange cloud swirling with energy. Lightning cracked inside it, bright and unpredictable. The pod entered first. Syrah's hands danced across the screen, shutting down unnecessary systems, hiding their signal. The enemy ships paused outside, sensors struggling to read the magnetic chaos inside. Jack let out a breath. "We've got maybe 1 minute. Maybe." Syrah nodded. She reached into her suit pocket and pulled out something small. The music box Jack had given her. She opened it slowly. Even through all the static, the melody played. Soft, brave, beautiful. Jack smiled when he heard it. "You kept it." Syrah looked at him. "It kept me." Suddenly, a red light flashed. The ping. The Empire had found them. A single interceptor burst through the nebula, faster than expected. It locked onto their position and began charging a weapon. Jack stood quickly. "We can't fire back. We don't have weapons." Syrah stood beside him. "No," she said, "but we have them." She placed the phase core into the pod's emergency comm slot and opened a direct broadcast channel to the entire system. Earth, the Resistance, even the enemy fleet. The screen lit up with her face. And Syrah spoke. "This is Syrah of the Lost World Caliph. I was a builder, an engineer, a daughter, and then I became a witness. I saw the Empire destroy my home. I saw them erase people like me. I saw them silence planets and rewrite truth. But I survived. And I carried our story inside this crystal. I carried it to Earth, where a human gave me shelter, where a human gave me food, where a human gave me a music box and reminded me that kindness exists. I came here as a fugitive. I leave here as a believer. The Empire wants silence. I give you the truth." The moment her message ended, everything changed. On Earth, screens all across the world blinked and played her face. People who had never seen an alien now listened to one, crying, telling her truth with a human necklace around her neck and a lullaby playing in the background. Some wept. Some stood in silence. Some raised their fists. Across the stars, the resistance received the transmission, and they responded. A resistance beacon activated near Neptune's orbit. 3 rebel ships jumped through warp space, surrounding the smuggler pod just as the Empire's ship charged its weapon. "Stand down," the resistance commander warned. "Your target is now under our protection." The Empire ship didn't listen. It fired. But the beam never hit. One of the resistance ships blocked it, sacrificing itself to save the pod. Inside, Jack grabbed Syra's arm. "We have to leave. Now." Syra nodded. Her voice was calm. "I'm ready." The resistance locked onto their coordinates and initiated a jump tunnel. In seconds, the pod vanished, leaving Earth behind. But her voice remained. Her story remained. A week later, Earth had changed. The governments who tried to cover up the Empire's presence now stood in front of cameras, speechless. People in cities marched with signs that read, "We believe as IRA. Truth has an amen. Humans don't elite go." The resistance made contact with Earth leaders, offering protection and alliance. The Empire, exposed and shaken, was forced to retreat for now. But the spark had already turned to fire. And it began with a gift. Somewhere in deep space, on a quiet resistance station orbiting a blue giant star, Jack sat with Syra under a glass dome. Stars stretched in every direction. Beautiful. Infinite. Syra leaned on his shoulder, watching the stars move slowly. "You miss Earth?" she asked. Jack smiled. "Yeah. You think they'll remember us?" Jack looked at her. "They'll remember you. The girl who told the truth, who cried in a stranger's home, who ran, but never gave up." Syra looked down. A single tear rolled down her cheek, her last tear for Earth. But this one wasn't from pain. It was peace.